for the life of me, I still cannot understand why Biggie was out here 6 months after Pac died. That kind of hunts me because that was crazy for him to be here. That's actually taunting all the Tupac fans that lived in the LA area. That was taunting them. And I still shake my head when I hear his music because he should still be here. And I believe wholeheartedly that he would still be here if he had not come to California at that particular sore moment. It was a sore moment in hip hop. And it was like throwing gas on the fire. You know? Rest in peace, Biggie. But that whole night just plays in my head. Kurupt and Foxy Brown, everybody knows that was a hot couple at that point, but they were so volatile. And they would always get kicked out of hotels. They would, I guess, get fighting and get kicked out, so they would somehow end up at our house. We had a guest bedroom that was kind of designated for Kurupt. And Foxy was welcome. I mean, if you love Kurupt, you're always welcome at our house, with love. And I remember that night they ended up at our house. I think something had happened at the hotel, or maybe they just wanted to come and see us, but they ended up at our house before the event. And of course, we were not going. It was not of interest to us. And they sped off. They went, and we had a good evening, went to bed. And I remember being woke up out of my sleep with the house phone ringing. Because, cell phones were not the big thing then. It was your house phone. Everybody had a house phone. And that phone was ringing and ringing. And, I'm a light sleeper. I picked it up. And the first phone call came in. It was somebody from, I don't even know. I mean, Russell Simmons had called that night. Luke Skywalker had called that night. Tupac's sister had called that night. And of course, everybody, the E40s, I remember the Vallejo crew had called. Everybody was called. And we didn't know at that point. We hadn't got the word. We were asleep. So the East Coast had got the information before us. And we were like, I'm like, Daz, wake up. Biggie just got shot. Oh, shit. And then here comes all the West Coast calls, the East Coast calls, the country calls. Mystical might have called because Daz and him were friends, through the Oklahoma Tulsa channel. And it was crazy. The last call I got that night was, I know kind of most of the people that called, but Tupac's sister called me that night. And Cetra might have been, I don't think she was in California. She was somewhere else. And she just said, hey, Kenya, I'm just calling to see, is it true what just happened? Biggie getting shot. I said, it appears we've gotten 1 million calls. She said, okay, and just hung up the phone. Nothing more, nothing less. And it was just crazy to me. Beverly Center that night was a ghost town. The LA people were still riding around. They weren't afraid. I mean, we deal with this all day, every day in LA. But all the East Coast people vanished. I had heard stories of people driving to San Diego to catch flights because they didn't want to be ambushed at the LAX. I mean, it was close. Catching flights just out of the LA area and getting back home. It was a ghost town. And I had to go. I remember Foxy, Def Jam had got her a room there. Her and her best friend, bodyguard, whatever. I had to end up going back to that room to clean it out. She traveled with a lot of stuff, so she might have brought a night bag or nothing to my house, but all her stuff was at that hotel by I don't know if it was called the Nico then, who knows, it was the one by the Beverly Center. Went and cleaned it out, and I think Kurupt might have left that night too. I mean, everybody was just gone. And it was just the strangest feeling. It was the most sunken feeling because now we're dealing with the second death of another hip-hop star. And my feelings were hurt. Daz's feelings were hurt because I didn't know, I kind of stayed out of the mess, with the Biggie and Pac things, but it hurt because it was another black man gone. That's what stuck with me. It was another young black man taken away from his family. And it didn't make any sense. It made no sense to me. But, we pressed on. 3 weeks later, after Biggie had died, I remember Foxy calling, because she wanted to come see her man. She was not afraid to come back to L.A. 17 years old. She was like, she just wanted to get here for her man. She wanted to see Kurupt. So I think Def Jam might have flown her down here with her bodyguard and her homegirl, and they stayed at my house. And I remember her bodyguard. Yeah, he's straight Brooklyn dude. We lived in our house set on the top of the hill, and you could see like the whole basin of Hollywood, downtown, the skyline, and everywhere, all around. He sat there at the window. I don't even think that dude got any sleep. He must have slept in the daytime, but he would not go to sleep at night. He was protected. He wanted to make sure that they were safe because this is 3 weeks after, Biggie's got killed in this city. And I told him, I'm like, yo, look, bro, you here in my town, ain't nothing going to happen to you, okay? You in my house, I'm protecting you. If I come to the East Coast, I expect you to protect me. And I took that oath. I was going to protect him. There was nothing going down up in a big way. And Foxy, her Kurupt, as soon as she got down here, they were already in a fight. Already. It already started. So she's like, you got to take me to Kurupt. He's not answering the phone. And I think we drove out to Snoop's house because they were out there having a party. And that might not have been the best idea to take her down there because she got to the door, start kind of kicking Snoop's door. I'm like, yo, you going to get us arrested out here in Montclair? You crazy? And I think me and Biblica were with her that night, and she was just spazzing out because Kurupt wouldn't come outside. And I'm like, Kurupt, we drove this far. Please come outside. He wasn't having it. We end up leaving and going back to my house. Biblica went on with her boyfriend at the time, 6ix9ine from Death Row, and Foxy and I and her crew ended up going back to my house. And I remember her taking Kurupt's clothes out the guest closet because he had all his clothes in our guest closet. And she took all the clothes out and got some bleach and poured the bleach all over the clothes and was trying to light the clothes on fire in my daughter's bathroom. I'm like, no, you're going to burn the house down. Can't do that, girl. I know you're mad, but we got to figure out another way. We can't burn the house down. I need this house. And, it was volatile. She cried, they just had this very emotional relationship. It was so emotional. And, she was younger, and I tried my best as a big sister to, talk some sense into her, explain to her, boys would be boys. So she ended up leaving, going back to New York, and, life went on. But it was just so hard to think that this man died at the top of his game. He died at the top of his game, and it just puzzles me. I mean, you just want to rewind the time. You want to get into his puppy's mind. Why did you bring that cat down here? Because he would have definitely been alive. I mean, had he not come down here, just stayed away until emotions, simmered a little bit because they were raw at that moment. But, it was just a terrible year for us personally who knew them, and a terrible year for hip hop. And, I relive that all the time, all those calls. I still want to know, how did all those people get Daz and I's phone number? I'm like, half those people had never called us before. And we must have been our number must have been, it had to have been in the yellow pages at that moment, or you can call the operator and get it, because so many people called us. They found us. They knew we were in L.A. They knew, you know, we had a studio there. But I'm like, how did that many people know where we lived, let alone our phone number? But yeah,
I just was very upset at his label heads for allowing him to come to L.A. when they knew that tensions were high. I mean, that's playing Russian roulette. California is not the place you play with. These guys down here don't play. And it was just heartbreaking, to say the least.